Indian Republic Day is here and preparations and celebrations for it are in full swing. In India, Republic Day is celebrated annually with a national holiday all over India to honor the day when the Constitution of India came into action as the governing document of India. India was ruled by the British for almost 200 years. Though it was free from their clutches in the year 1947, it still functioned under the laws of the British. It's noted that though India gained freedom from the British rule after a long struggle in the wee hours of August 15, 1947. But sadly this freedom did not come along with democracy and the right to choose your own government. India still followed the rules of Imperial British until it gave a constitution to itself. Since India didn't have an official constitution then, the country was a constitutional monarchy under the rule of King George even after independence. By that time India has nothing called constitution of its own and governance of country is largely happening on lines of Government of India Act, 1935. Although Constituent Assembly was constituted by then, there was a debate on what type of government system to adopt. This invariably consumed a lot of time on debates and discussions in constitution making. But, by that time VP Menon, an Indian civil servant, has proposed an idea of dominion status to follow after independence, till constitution is ready. So governance still happens on British rules, but greater autonomy to Indians in internal affairs. It gives enough time for constitution makers to draft agreed constitution. That's why India saw Mountbatten as viceroy even after independence and not completely sovereign, still the crown is sovereign in external affairs. On August 28, 1947, the drafting committee was appointed to draft a permanent constitution, with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as chairman. Drafting the constitution was an Herculean task for Dr. Ambedkar. The Constitution of India is the longest written constitution all over the world, which cannot be read in a single day, and took around 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to be completed. The Constitution of India has incorporated 448 articles in 22 parts, 12 schedules, and 97 amendments. The concept of liberty, equality, and fraternity came from the French Constitution while the 5-year plans came from the Soviet Union Constitution. 2 copies of the Indian Constitution were handwritten, both in English and Hindi, were signed on 24 January in 1950 by around 308 members of the Assembly. The Constitution of India was proposed and subsequently drafted by November 26, 1949 and presented before the Constituent Assembly, the then Parliament of India. It was approved upon several debates and discussions of members of the Constituent Assembly with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So it was finally after 2.5 years later on January 26, 1950, when the Indian Constitution came into effect, thus making India one of the biggest democracies in the world. As we mentioned earlier, the Constitution was originally completed and drafted on November 26, 1949, but the Constitution in totality came into effect from January 26, 1950. That's because, during the years of Indian freedom struggle, at the Lahore session of Congress held on December 31, 1929, the then elected President of Congress Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, who later on became the first Prime Minister of independent India, declared to fight for complete independence from British rule by hosting the Indian flag to celebrate January 26 of every year as Independence Day or Purna Swaraj Day. It's the day when Indian leaders decided to fight for a complete freedom. But due to many circumstances it had to wait for another 17 years. Our leaders wanted this day to be remembered after independence of India. So, the government stalled the inauguration of the Constitution of the country to 26 January 1950 as opposed to its original date of completion November 26, 1949. So to commemorate that day in history, the Constituent Assembly unanimously agreed to give its people the Constitution on January 26, 1950, even when it was drafted 2 months prior on 26th day of November 1949, also celebrated as the Constitution Day. The Indian Constitution officially came into a legal circulation at 10:18 a.m. on the 26th of January, 1950. From now on, sovereignty of India lies with people of India and no external influence in both internal and external affairs of India is accepted, no matter what. It was on this day when India was declared as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And to honor this day, The Indian Republic Day is celebrated with great fervour throughout the country every year on January 26. On this day only, Indians experienced true freedom from British rule. And also it was on January 26, 1950, Dr. Rajendra Prasad took oath in the Durbar Hall of the Government House as India's first president. Looking the opening lines of preamble of Constitution, as it talks about sovereignty. Thus India became Republic. Tradition of flag hosting and parade gets started on this day. This day gives people the right to choose their government. Every year the Republic Day celebrations take place over 3 days and are concluded on January 29 of every year. The chief guest at India's first Republic Day celebration was the President of Indonesia, and since then 5 other Southeast Asian leaders have been the chief guests at the Republic Day parades. Annually in the national capital, New Delhi, a huge celebration event is organized at the India Gate before the President of India. A grand parade of Indian Army takes place to honor the Indian flag. A majority of Indian national awards such as Bharat Ratna, Padma Bhushan, and Kirti Chakra are awarded during the Republic Day ceremony. For Indians, Republic Day is a way of celebrating all the work put forth in laying the foundations and rules upon which the country works. Indian Constitution, the longest of any sovereign state, for which the leaders took the best aspects from other countries' constitutions. Republic Day's celebration marks the pride of every Indians over their leaders, constitution, and the effort that went into making India the country it is today. So that's all about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, press the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe if you want to help us making more informative videos like this. Peace.